Hey, welcome everyone to another episode of Travels and Wildlife Photos. Today we are coming to you from Jekyll Island in Georgia. This beautiful place here. It's a gorgeous day out. And today we're going to be talking to you about our recent trip, which, how long ago was this at this point? Like 2 weeks ago maybe? To Huguenot Memorial.
Actually, I think it was only about a week and a half.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Huguenot Memorial Park, which is just outside of Jacksonville in Florida. And it was really interesting. We talked about it a little bit at the end of our last episode, how we ended up there. So we left, where was the other beach we left on the other coast? Fort DeSoto.
Yes.
We were going to go to the springs. We were going to go to Rainbow Springs. We went there. It was closed due to it being busy, just due to being at capacity. And so we decided to leave Florida because it had been really hot.
Yeah.
We were going to drive to Hilton Head, back to your mom's place.
Yes.
And we're driving there, and then on the way, Emily starts doing some research.
Well, I had found out about this place, this Huguenot Memorial Park.
Yeah, it's not a national. I think
park,
it's like a county.
Sorry. Yeah. But so I had found out about it in search of royal terns.
Yes.
Because you had expressed interest in photographing royal terns.
Yes.
Nesting, or just with their breeding kind of habitats
Yeah.
and all that. And this place came up as one of the most popular, sites for them. And so it was on the way to Hilton Head. Jacksonville's only about 3 hours from Hilton Head.
Yeah.
And it was only about 2 or 3 hours from where we were.
Yep.
So it was just kind of like, well, maybe they have a campsite available, because I know they had camping.
You found a campground, yeah.
And so I found a campground, and then I booked a campsite for the next day instead of the current day, because we needed somewhere to stay. So we ended up,
that's right.
the first night we ended up staying in a Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, because you called up and they were like, we don't have anything available.
Yeah.
Then we drove in.
And there was plenty of
tons
availability,
of sites.
so
You kept saying.
I was like, we should just show up and see.
Yeah.
And we probably could have just asked, because I called thinking that would, anyway.
Yeah, that's part of, the traveling part of it,
Yeah.
especially when you're doing like last minute stuff. And especially on the East Coast here. It's just so much more challenging on the East Coast to find, places to stay, especially in...
Like not campgrounds.
Correct. Not campground places to stay that are nice.
Public lands.
And then it's hard to find campgrounds because in season, in the peak season...
Everything's busy.
Everything's booked
Especially
up.
on a weekend.
Yep.
Which I think...
That's what it was. And then we
was
had
a
the
weekend.
weekday already booked.
Right.
Yeah. So we went at first, that night, we went over to... There was 2 beaches there. One about 5-6 minutes apart from each other.
Right.
The main Huguenot Memorial Park, and then there was another one that was like another driftwood beach, which is where we're at here in Georgia. So we thought we'd check that out. And so, yeah, we'll get started looking at some of those photos. And yeah, it was a bright sunny day when we first got out there. And it did have the driftwood stuff, which was cool.
Yes.
Which is always a neat look. So yeah, here's a video. We'll take a look at that. So you can kind of see what it looks like at these beaches, like all this stuff. But there were no shorebirds in that area where
where the driftwood was.
Where the driftwood was, correct. So we ended up just doing a nice walk that evening. And
really stunning beach, beautiful white sand.
Yeah,
really beautiful.
It really was.
And I think that was also an area that had been roped off, wasn't it?
They did have a roped off area for
areas.
nesting birds. We didn't see anything happening in there.
I think we were a bit too early for that season.
Yep.
And it was really windy there too.
That day was windy. The sands were blowing over it. It looked so cool.
Really cool.
We just had that exact same experience with the sand blowing last night here in Georgia, which was really neat. So yeah, anyway, there was just barely anybody there. Handful of people out there.
Just a handful of people. It was really peaceful. And then there were a decent number of birds out there.
We ended up walking down to this one point because we had saw it through the lens. I could see all the birds way down there.
Just like,
black-bellied plover and let me bring up settings again for everybody here. There were some dowitchers when we first walked up, some sanderlings.
I think there was maybe like 20, 30 birds.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But challenging to shoot.
Yeah, it was more...
The water was so windy.
That's nice, using the sand as like foreground and everything.
Yeah,
But
there
I
was
think
like
we were also not in the mindset of getting dirty at that time.
we weren't ready to get on the water. And I gotta say, even if we were, I think just looking at the birds where they were,
It wouldn't have made for the best shots.
yeah, like where they were around the water,
Yeah.
they were close to it, and it was so windy that
Yeah.
everything was real ripply.
Rippled, and then the water
So-
in the background also. And
This guy just happened to like walk up, and you shot him first going
Yeah,
up through there.
not great.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you could be with like a crop
edit.
though.
Yeah.
You know
I
what
know.
I mean?
It's like
Yeah.
in the center of the frame. This is a rod of camera.
Yeah.
It's just fine.
But yeah, I played around with something like this with the 1-4. What were you shooting?
28 to 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then yeah, we took some. There was a bunch of photo shoots going
you
on
can
there.
see one in the
Yeah,
background
there's some
there.
people in the background there. Yeah. I
Ray
climbed a tree.
doing some yoga.
How am I even balanced there? It looks like I'm ready to tip out of that
Exactly.
thing.
You're doing great. You got great core strength.
That's funny.
That one I probably could have positioned better so
That's
your
all
head
right.
stuck out more, but look at that cutie.
So we took some photos there. We had some beautiful light.
Yeah.
You know, that's for sure. And then,
Oh, was that the same night?
no, this was Huguenot.
Okay, so then that was the next day.
Yes, this was all the next day. So that night, then yeah, we had nowhere to stay, so we did the
Cracker Barrel.
the
That-
Cracker Barrel campground, which always
Yes,
works. It was a
it-
decent one.
Yeah.
Yeah, decently quiet. Depends. Sometimes you get them and they're really rough.
Right on the highway.
We've had
or-
some where we've left; they're just so noisy.
Yeah.
But then the last handful that we've done have been decently quiet, and you can
Yeah.
at least get some sleep. Especially if it's cooler, we can close the windows, and
Yeah.
it's not too bad.
Beautiful nature, just like this. No,
It's
just-
yeah, it's definitely not our first choice, but
on the East Coast.
yeah.
It can happen.
Yeah.
Either Walmart or Cracker Barrel, just because there's no other option.
And it, for at least for my thinking, I don't know if you feel this way. I'm like, it's worth it for just a night or
It's
two
just a place to sleep.
to
and-
be able to get there. Yeah, it's not like
and
we're
then
hanging out there
we're
all day.
Nearby where we need to be.
Exactly. It's all for the convenience of it, right?
Yeah.
So like we were able to go to that beach that night, stay till sunset, and have like a 20-minute drive
Yeah.
to the Cracker Barrel, half-hour tops.
Yeah.
And then we had the same thing in the next morning.
In the morning, yeah.
So we knew that park the next morning would be, the park was open, the campground was like a late check-in.
Yeah.
And
So I
so
think we didn't shoot that morning.
we didn't. We were
Yeah.
just like, we're going to sleep in because we knew it was going to be a late evening, early morning coming
Yeah.
up. And then we drove over to the park and figured we would just go hang out in the park, but we would tell them we're camping on the off chance they'd let us in to the campsite.
Right.
And they did.
And the campsite was open, nobody was in it. So
Yep. So we went in, got our set up our campsite. Beautiful spot.
right on the water.
Yeah, right on like a bay,
bay.
like a little bay.
Yeah.
And we had no idea about this park.
Yeah.
Like what the deal was. All we had done is seen some photos online.
And then known that it was,
Birdie.
a very, good spot for royal terns nesting.
We looked at some
on the
satellite
East
views
Coast.
to
Yeah.
see like where the campground was, and it's like right there, and you're like, whoa, the beach
Oh,
looked
this is
amazing
cool.
from the satellite.
Yeah.
You know, like lots of open sandy beach plus a cove. There was an inlet there, which is always good. There was like an inlet on both sides of this sort of peninsula, which is always like that always congregates shorebirds. There's like the meeting of like a freshwater body
Right.
or where the salt comes in, and it narrows down fish. It just seems to be more productive all the time, just like at the end of Fort DeSoto,
Right.
that cove down there that comes in. So it all looked great. And so we park, and we'll keep it short, but it was a madhouse at this place. We
Yeah.
had no idea.
It's one of those beaches that allow cars on the beach.
Yeah, you can drive there onto the beach. It's half hour from Jacksonville.
Right.
So everybody goes there. We were
And I think it was a weekend.
it was, yeah, it was a Sunday.
Sunday. Yeah.
That we pulled in early. It
Yeah.
was like 10 o'clock, 10,
Yeah.
11 o'clock, something like that. And we just start seeing the cars rolling, and they're just like parking right behind us where the water view is.
Yeah.
Just like cars, more people.
Yeah.
People with families all over the place. Whatever, like, but just like that's not what we're after. We like the peace
Yeah.
and solitude, you know. And so it was just like kids screaming, chaos, cars. At one point, guys, there was a backup of traffic. Like there was actual like
They had to
traffic
wait,
backup,
yeah.
waiting to drive onto the beach. All these cars with like booming music and everything.
Yeah.
Now they're stuck outside of like where we're hanging out.
Yeah.
The one good thing was it was real windy, and it had finally cooled off a little
Yes,
bit because we were
yeah.
near the ocean.
So
and
we
so it
weren't
was
hot.
finally a
Yeah.
reprieve from the like insane heat we've been dealing
Yeah.
with in Florida. And so we were both just like, oh man, this is going to be interesting tonight.
Yeah.
And so we walk on the beach, and this is what we see
It was just a parking lot.
on the beach.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And this is where the birds are supposed to be.
Right.
And they were.
Supposedly, yeah.
And they were in some spots. So we started finding Yeah, these courting terns. We found some royal terns pretty quickly.
Yeah.
We found a little group. There was, I don't know if there was black skin. I think it was royal terns.
It was a group of birds mixed in. Yeah.
Maybe one or two sandwich terns.
Yeah.
Some gulls, a lot of laughing gulls.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And it was right next to this jetty that went way out. So I photographed the jetty. I had climbed up on top.
Yeah.
And I looked all the way down to the other end of this beach, like as far as I could see. And I love having this feature. I use it all the time to scout. The zoom in the viewfinder on the mirrorless camera. And so I think I was shooting probably a 100 to 400, or no, I guess I was shooting the 28 to 4.
Yeah.
So zoom into 400, then punch in like crazy, and you can see things really far away.
Yeah.
Guys, literally all the way on the other end of the beach, which is probably like, it was maybe a mile along the beach, maybe not quite, but close to it. I see just
hundreds,
thousands of birds.
Yeah.
Just the beach is coated, and the vehicles there and everything. Just craziness.
Yeah, really weird.
Yeah.
So we decided I think we had about an hour before sunset.
Just a little bit before that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It was just before an hour before sunset.
And so we're like, might as well start walking and
so
and
this
give it a
was some
shot.
stuff we shot right off the bat. This is where we started. This
Right.
is where we saw some birds, and then the beach went down to the right here.
Yeah.
And so we start walking down there. We're shooting some laughing gulls and stuff.
Yep.
And then, do you want to share what happened?
You can share.
Oh, okay. So we are walking along, and then we see, just like at Fort DeSoto, the beach police, sheriffs, whatever.
Police.
Yeah, the beach police.
Regular police.
They're in vehicles. They drive on the beach,
Yeah.
and they put the lights on.
Yeah.
And that's just the indication of time to clear off the beach. It's just had been happening to us for the last 3 days at Fort DeSoto,
yeah.
which was always
like right after sunset. I think it was like
the
5
sun
minutes
touches,
after.
and then it goes, and then they're like, get off the beach,
Yeah.
you know, which is always like, oh, what a bummer, because
Yeah.
we love to shoot the dusk light.
That about Fort DeSoto, like the two downsides are it opens at 7.
And sunrise is at 7:20,
Well, it depends
30 when
what
we
time.
were there.
Yeah, and then the other one is
They kick you off.
They kick you off right at sunset. Yeah, those are the two downfalls of shooting at Fort DeSoto. But anyway, we're not talking about that now.
Yeah, and it's a challenge. It really is.
Yeah.
Because we'd love
Limiting.
to stay.
Yeah, of course. Because I feel like in Florida, it's another one of those places where you get like that nice dusk light, that really nice like
for
pinks and everything in the sky. So.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, Huguenot, we see the cars and we're like, oh no, here we go. And sure enough, you see like the parking lot of the beach start clearing off. Everybody's driving off. And we're just like, let's just shoot as long as we can until they tell us to go.
Because there was this beautiful like mirror reflection on the sand, and
we were loving it.
You know, sanderlings. What else did we have? The laughing gulls, sanderlings.
Laughing gulls like crazy. Maybe some turnstones.
Yeah, sanderlings and turnstones. And maybe that was it.
I think that was about it.
That was about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were just like taking advantage.
But it was a flat beach. The waves would come in and just mirror out the sand like that. So you can see like all this stuff. Like we were getting these great shots. The light was really nice.
Right, yeah. Because it was still, I mean, it was like an hour before sunset.
Yeah.
We were just a bit surprised that that was all happening so early.
Correct.
I think some of them you can actually see the lights maybe of the.
Oh yeah, I think you do have some. Yeah, but like you guys can see, we were getting some great shots. So we were not ready to go.
No, it was like we just found the birds. And then we're like, yeah, there you go. There's the.
Yep, there's the vehicle.
Police car in the
going off in the back.
Yeah. And so finally he makes his way over to us.
He clears off, like the last cop car is clearing off the last of the vehicles. And we see him driving over towards us.
And we're just like, oh no.
In our heads, we're like, yeah, here we go.
This is it.
So I walk up and he's like, you know, how's it going? And the first thing he asks is, are you camping out here? And I say, yeah. And so then he asks,
where's your vehicle?
Where's your vehicle? Yeah. And I said, back at the campsite. And he just gave a thumbs up and said, you're good
to go.
And we're like, we both look at each other like,
what?
Are you kidding? We get to stay?
Yeah.
You know, we didn't say that. We're like, thanks, man. Have a great day.
Yeah.
And then he proceeds to clear off the rest of the beach, guys. And
so it turned from this beach that had, I don't know, thousands of people and
hundreds of cars, and thousands of people,
to literally just me and Ray.
That was it.
Literally.
It was the craziest.
Like I've never been on a beach before.
Yeah.
Just me.
Yeah. All right, sorry about that. We had to rearrange. The sun was blinding us in our faces, so we were tucked in the one little spot of shade over here. So yeah, and the other thing we were amazed at is that
Nobody was there without their car?
No other camper.
No other campers were there.
The campground was filled. There was a
Yeah.
lot of campers there, and not one other person was out on that beach.
Like, it was literally just you and me.
Yeah, it went
That
from
was it. And the birds.
it went from roughly 1,000 people on
Like,
that beach.
It went from like a person who likes nature's nightmare to,
Yes.
to like this incredible experience.
I think we were almost like skipping around on the beach like,
It was
"Woo,
just like
look at
the
this."
weirdest
It was
thing.
crazy.
It was like the weirdest but best thing, I
Yes,
guess I should say.
It really was. And so then, game on. We also at that point started to learn that there were, like, we got towards the end, and you'll see some photos here. It's a laughing gull rookery for sure.
Oh,
Royal
yeah,
tern
yeah.
rookery for sure.
Yeah.
And the laughing gull rookery, I mean, thousands of
Yeah.
laughing gulls, like multiple thousands.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like this one.
Thanks.
Is that you? Or me? 28
that's
to 4?
you.
That's me? Okay. Yeah, you're
I'm
welcome.
like, thanks. Thanks for you shooting
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
my
there you
God,
go.
so
Oh,
funny.
no, that's me too. Yeah. What were you what lens were you
I
shooting?
was shooting the 400 4.5.
Okay.
And I honestly think that you had the better lens here.
All right, so this is a perfect setup. I wanted to show this.
Okay.
Just because like this shows what we were doing. So the key here for us is like, I mean, you can shoot towards the beach like that, but like we were all just trying to use this huge area of
Yeah.
like flat reflected sand.
Yeah.
Because the waves would actually wash up that far.
Yeah.
And then they'd sink right in and you'd get this mirror on the sand. And so like we basically didn't want to be up here shooting straight towards the water because that
Right.
was more of like the front light thing. But then you're shooting towards waves all the time.
Right.
And every wave coming up in the background
Yeah.
always kind of like, I feel like it shows, it's just a tougher background.
Yeah.
So most of what we were doing was trying to shoot like down the
Down the
length
line,
of the
yeah.
beach. And guys, when you would nail it like this, I mean, there's a little bit towards the waves there,
Yeah.
but more towards the end there, there's some of the lighting.
That's
You
fun.
could really get like a infinite background. Let me see if there's any that really show that. I feel like there was some.
None.
Yeah, I guess not. I guess we weren't having a lot of luck shooting in that direction. So anyway, we'll keep going. But there was potential for that. I guess we just didn't take advantage of it.
No,
I could have swore we shot
I think
some.
we were trying it, but
Yeah.
it just wasn't that easy.
It wasn't, yeah. But that
Yeah.
is the goal.
That was the goal.
Yes, exactly. But it didn't matter. Even when you were shooting towards the waves, that mirror foreground was so nice.
It was,
And
yeah,
for me,
yeah.
I kept composing like this, like
More
adding
of that.
a lot of that
Sure,
foreground just
sure.
to make that smoother.
Yeah.
And then I tried some wider like this. Just standing
Yeah.
up, getting the reflections like that. Let me take the settings off so you guys can see it a little bit better.
Right.
I thought stuff like that was kind of neat and
Yeah,
cool. The laughing
so-
gulls were super friendly there.
Oh my gosh, it was crazy. Yeah.
That's awesome. Nice. Oh, where is your stuff? Oh, here it comes.
It's in there.
Okay.
There's just
I was
not
just
that
like, I guess it was
many.
just a batch of mostly stuff I shot.
That's so funny.
That is funny. Yeah.
You're like, nice. I'm like, cool.
I thought it was yours. Yeah, it looked like something you shot. Anyway.
That's hilarious.
yeah.
So this shows how many, I think those are all mostly laughing gulls, right?
Mostly, yeah.
There's thousands of them. It was crazy.
That was crazy. Yeah.
Oh, this was cute.
That's
I mean,
neat.
that kind of shows a little bit
It
of
does.
the mirror.
That's what I'm talking about.
But yeah, he's got his little flower.
I know. Look at that thing.
So cute. And then I think
Love
maybe
that.
I put another one. Yeah. He's got his flower.
That's you. Sanderlings always.
Sanderlings, if it's a Sanderling, odds are.
Yeah. That 4.5 does render that background very nicely, especially with the
Yeah.
distances we had there. you
Yeah.
know. That was a problem we were struggling with big time last night on the beach here. We had
Yeah.
tons of birds, but they were just right on the edge of the water.
Yeah. And,
And,
it was just.
and kind of sloped
Yeah.
down, and there was just it was near impossible to get any good background
Yeah.
at that location. Here, it was just tons of it.
Yeah.
You know? Mm-hmm. I love this goofy
Yeah.
pose of this laughing girl. He's so into that
and
takeoff.
all of the sand like,
Like, just-
on his feet.
Yeah.
Love this one.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just love the grasses. And actually, I took some shots like that, but I didn't have enough grasses in there. Or like you couldn't see the slopes and stuff because
Gotcha.
maybe the 400. I don't know. You were at 400.
I was at
so
400.
nope, that's not it. It
Yeah.
was just the photographer.
I
But I
want
did
to.
try. I did try some.
I do want to point out on this one. I feel like the crop really makes
Oh,
it. Like
for sure.
that to
Yeah.
me does not
No.
work nearly as much as that.
I feel like that emphasizes kind of the slope and just
It was just too much black foreground, and the other one was just too dominant.
And even
then
too much sky.
Agreed. Like it really, as soon as I saw it on my screen when I was editing, I was like, instantly just envisioned the panoramic on that and knew it worked. And then we were both like happy to finally be getting some backlight again.
Yeah.
Because at Fort DeSoto, which we talked about on that episode, we were struggling with the backlight.
Yeah.
It was just, a lot of conditions I think didn't work for it.
Yeah.
But here, it was just really nice. And I think those tall dunes
helped.
Are what made it,
Yeah.
Sun came over that and it was beautiful.
That's kind of fun. I like the shadow there.
I started playing with the wider stuff.
Yeah, see, I guess that's why I thought that this was the right lens for that beach.
And the
just
light
so that way
rays.
you could play around with this kind of stuff.
And still shoot the tighter shots.
And still shoot the tighter stuff.
Yeah, like, because literally I was doing this
Love
1
this
second
one.
with these laughing gulls, which, by the way, as soon as I learned they were super friendly, I was just finding any little shell and I'm just like chucking it, and they're all flying right over my head. And I'd gather a bunch of little shell pieces and just chuck them in the air, and they'd come in out of curiosity, and then some of them would land there and stuff. Just like this, I think this might be one of my favorites. I love just the big
the wing position is
wing position,
really nice.
and these guys still hanging in back there are kind of fun. So, and then just after that, here's a perfect example of like shooting that at 400 millimeter.
Just like portrait versus having the wider scene.
I shoot that 1 second, then isolate one of these birds sitting right there. Basically, don't move and get that next.
It's pretty great. Like, what other lens can
I don't know of one.
achieve that? I don't know.
I don't know of one. You know,
like I don't know. Oh, I really
and
like
then
that
stand
too.
up and do that.
Yeah, I really like that.
It's just, if I had a prime telephoto lens, I wouldn't even be looking at this stuff.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even be thinking about that. And so having that lens allows me to just open up my eye to stand up and shoot, like, and think about all these different perspectives.
Yeah.
And it feels like no matter what's going on, if there's stuff around you on an open beach setting like that, you can kind of find something to shoot,
Yeah.
Especially with lighting like this and cooperative birds, I mean, that certainly helped, right? That these birds just didn't care.
Right. I guess they're so used to seeing.
I mean, I literally would just like walk up.
Yeah.
They're so used to getting food from people.
Yeah.
They look at you as a food source at that point.
Yeah.
So they're actively coming towards you half the
Right.
time, or just completely ignoring you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has he got a bum foot?
No, I think it was just some goo.
Oh yeah, he's just okay.
His,
it was like, ooh, his foot looks a little jacked up there. Yeah.
His dinner.
That's nice light. Oh, I do always love these. I shoot them rarely, but whenever I see them from you, I'm like, they're so pretty.
Why
just
don't
the
you
light
shoot
coming
them
through
then?
there. It's not that I never do. I just feel like I'm usually like concentrating on other things, And you are quick to go for the Sanderling.
I'm a photographer, Sanderling portrait photographer.
But I wanted to point this out. I thought was a great lesson too. So here are side-by-side shots, basically. You shot the one on the left.
Oh, okay.
Which I like a little bit better.
Okay.
I shot the one on the right. But, and in fact, actually, let me bring in this one from earlier, because that's the one I shot, and they're much closer, right? People are often
you
like...
shot both of these?
No, I shot that one, you shot this one.
Oh.
Yeah, that's your
okay.
camera.
Okay,
yeah.
got it.
You shot the one on the right. So, this is a 400 millimeter at 4.5. This is 400 millimeter at f8, okay? That's what I wanted to point out here.
Oh, okay.
So many people are like, oh my gosh, an f8 lens.
Like, what are you going to do with that?
Everybody's always craving the faster lens, which I get. We have the fastest lenses you can get, and there is a place for them.
Yeah.
But when you're out on an open beach, if you love doing shorebird photography, you do not need, look at this palm warbler walking
he's
on
like
the ground.
Walking.
Yeah, he's just like feet on the ground.
Yeah.
There's a northern parula singing.
Yeah.
Yellow-throated just sang.
warbler.
There's a
painted bunting back there. Oh, the towhee just.
A towhee singing.
There's a painted bunting.
There's a painted bunting singing. This is a cool spot.
Yeah.
So anyway, my point in saying all this is like, let's look at some settings. So here we go, 4.5. Look, same ISO we shot them at.
Yeah.
You had a little bit of a faster shutter speed.
But like,
just because
not like you need it.
It doesn't matter. I was already at
standing
3200th of a second.
Yeah.
Right?
A bird that's just standing
and
there.
I also want to just point out like the depth of field. Look at that razor thin in focus thing on the beach, right?
Yeah.
Here it is, arguably maybe a little bit thinner. But I mean, my gosh, like even if we zoom in
that's super
on
dreamy
this,
and nice.
it's like, look how thin that in focus beam is, right? And then look how thin it is here, right?
Yeah.
It's almost indiscernible between the two.
Yeah.
And if I were to show somebody these two shots side by side and be like, which
what
one?
What aperture do you think?
Yeah, I don't think anybody would tell unless we said it. And all of that is to say, you can do great stuff with these slow aperture lenses, these high apertures. I mean, this is f8. That's probably about the highest aperture lens you can get outside of, I think Canon has like a 600 f11 or something like that, right?
They do?
Yeah, they have something like that. Or maybe it's an 800 f11, I forget. They have some weird thing like that. These guys are going nuts back there right now.
It's funny.
But this is such a perfect example of that, that it can work so well. That being said, like, let me bring back up one other thing here. Playing with your lighting, it really makes a difference. Like, you have that little bit of gradient that peeks in down here. I just love what it does to the shape of the light back there. The pose just a little bit tighter, you know, the rim light a little bit stronger there. So like everything I feel like works better on this image than it does here. Not to say that I don't like this one, you know. But I thought it was a great side-by-side example.
Yeah, that is a good side-by-side,
you know?
Yeah.
But then, with this lens, I get to do
zoom
this.
out. Right,
I get to zoom out and show some of this stuff, you know, and then, oh, that's
that was
beautiful.
That was a toy part.
Yeah, it is so toit. We say toit all the time. I love that it just came out. Oh, that's so
I mean,
good.
he's just looking really sharp, I think. Don't you think so?
Oh, I love these guys. Yeah.
I mean, look at how pretty he is.
So underrated. Laughing gulls are so often ignored by photographers.
But like, look at how pretty he is. He's got red eyeliner. He's got his lipstick on.
I mean, look at the detail on that bird. Like, yeah,
That's
the little white, the red eye ring.
The sunset in the background.
If he were to open up, look at the sun in there. If he were to open up his mouth, the red inside is incredible. And this line, I don't know that I've ever noticed how, like you see it.
Sharp.
Yeah, but I love the little feather ridges there when it's in that close. So it's
like
really
that
cool.
One. Maybe I'll post him today.
Yeah, it's a beautiful shot.
And then that's probably the same moment. But
it probably is the same bird.
And I really like that too.
Yeah. So, you know, again, just love the diversity.
Yeah, I think it's just like, it is really nice. Like in this specific example, like we were shooting similar but very different lenses, right? Like, because you had the 28 to 400 versatility, and I was stuck at 400.
Yep.
And so I think it's just really interesting to be able to see the same night, like, and be able to see what you can do with these two different lenses. Yeah. It's kind of cool.
It is, yeah.
And like almost probably the same moment, like with that, like the 400 versus 95, and they're both really nice shots, just a totally different look.
Totally, and I would say, like for me, up until the last 2 years, maybe 3 years, I would have always chosen the prime.
For like a shorebird outing?
And for any outing. I would have always been like, oh, the prime's gonna be better, it's, you know, faster lens, shallower depth of field, more blurred background, blah, blah, blah. And now I am 99% the other way. Yeah, it's
I'm
weird. Always choosing the versatility of the zoom over the prime.
Yeah.
Because of what you can do with it.
I think, sorry, I didn't.
No, I was just gonna say, because of what you can do with it in scenarios like this for the diversity of the photos. Now, is that prime gonna render a little bit cleaner background? Is it gonna snap into focus better? Is it gonna track them when they're flying better? Yes, to all those things, right? But how much does that matter in the end for the look of the photos compared to the versatility you can get with this? So what were you going to say?
No, I think I was just going to also say, I think it takes a certain level of skill to be able to even kind of have the eye to see, okay, I can capture all these different things. Like rather than taking out the 28 to 4 and just
leaving it at 4.
Leaving it at 400 or just like only leaving it at 28, or, you know, like not kind of seeing the versatility, because like this is 44, the previous one was 95. Yeah. And it's like, those are, it's such a wide range.
It's infinite possibilities.
It really is kind of crazy. I know,
he's singing up a storm. I feel like he's got to be like right there. Yeah. If we see him back here, we'll go big screen so you can see him. He's a stunner. We photographed him this morning. It was beautiful.
Yeah. I think it's like one of those things where I think you need the experience to be able to shoot it well.
For sure.
But I mean, the only way to get the experience is to work with it, right?
Totally.
Just like any of our other gear, just like the donut focal lens, just like, you know.
Yeah, and you know, like this is a great example, right? This composition is at 95 millimeters for no reason other than I zoomed it to the exact size I wanted to get his full reflection in there.
Which is so cool.
That's exactly what this was. Like, give me the tightest shot, that I can keep the reflection in and give a little bit of headroom, right?
Right.
Because like arguably I could go tighter, but then his head's going to be too
Right.
cramped.
No, that's
so
not
like
what you want.
balance-wise, this was like the composition I wanted,
Right.
and so I end up at 95 millimeter.
And
That's just
yeah.
I'm not paying attention to
the exact
focal length, right?
Exactly.
It's just doing that, and then here I'm like, oh, I want to show off these
So
ripples, the water
shoreline
leaning
and
into
a
it,
little bit
right?
of foam
and then
stuff.
stand up here in 28 millimeter and let's play with that. And this one could maybe have done some other focal length, but I really wanted to try and show some of the water down there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and then,
Ooh, I love that.
And then I lay down and do that
Yeah,
at 400
like there's
mil.
I don't think anybody could tell that that's f8.
I could put this next to a 2.8. We could shot 400 2.8 next to this.
Yeah, and then be like, which one's 2.8?
I don't think you could tell.
Yeah,
I really don't, you know?
that's a beautiful one.
Thank you.
Love
Thanks.
that one.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there you go. And then right back out, like, don't even move.
Yeah.
Zoom out and get that.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
If you have the choice now, which one do you
Well, I struggle.
choose?
I feel like because there's so many things, and I think we were talking about this a little bit this morning, or I think it was this morning, of like lens paralysis of like which lens do I choose, because we have such a wide range of lenses and they're also different.
And we understand, like, we're very grateful that we're in that situation to be able to do that.
Yeah, and we also share, you know, obviously everything we do, we share.
We're able to pool our, you know, lenses and resources together to get all this stuff.
Have the same, you know, system,
We're shooting
whatever,
icons,
Nikon.
yeah. But
so
you still quite often will gravitate towards A prime.
A prime.
On the beach.
I do.
Yeah.
Like either the 135, which is like so random.
Yeah.
Or the 400.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe I think I just need more time with the 28-4
Yes.
to be able to, like, you know,
Utilize it.
Because
then you can get shots like that.
Exactly.
She's giving peace, not the finger. Just
No,
a
it's
heads
peace.
up.
You can zoom in.
It's just like a nice little peace sign there. Yeah. Yeah, I think it does. It just like you said, it totally needs practice.
Like, I love that.
You know,
it's like a fun reflection shot.
This kind of stuff, I'm always like in my head, not in my head, but when I look at them, I'm always kind of like, I feel like it really needs some interesting compositional element or something to make it not look like I just walked off my phone and snapped it.
Yeah, well, I was thinking that of like a few ones ago, that
Yeah.
kind of looked like a snap video. No, not any of these.
Like that?
No, it was after. Keep going to the right. This way.
I am.
Okay.
What?
I don't know. It was one of these, but it was before. This way.
This way?
No.
Am I going the wrong way?
Come this way. Yes.
I couldn't tell which way you were pointing.
Okay.
Well,
This
we've only
one,
gone.
This one.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Like
yeah,
that
yeah.
one to me is
Yeah.
kind of like, okay,
Agreed.
if I was a person just on the beach, I could just take
Yep.
out my phone and just like click
Yeah.
that. No offense.
No. I know. And like, I
But
don't
like
know
the
why
next one,
I kept it.
I don't think you could do that with your phone. But maybe you
Oh,
could.
I totally think you can. Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
for
nice.
sure.
I like this one.
Yeah, and so this is what I mean. Like when you're shooting this kind of stuff, I feel like I need to pay more attention to the interesting graphical elements, the composition,
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. So it doesn't just look like that. But there was something about this that I liked. I think it was
Maybe
like the
the
leading
center?
lines
Oh,
of
okay.
that, and just like the way that wrapped. I
Yeah.
don't know.
No, it's like cute.
But I'll probably never share it. It's,
Yeah.
It's not going beyond just like that. You know what I mean?
Totally share worthy.
Oh, of course. Yeah. There's another example of the birds down
chaos,
there.
yeah.
But you can see how much of a big section there is of that flat
mirror.
reflected water.
Yeah.
Is wonderful. Yeah. Bald eagle kept flying through
my
twice.
gosh, multiple times. Yeah.
Ruined everything.
Yeah, he did.
Although I decided I do like that shot actually.
It is a nice.
I'll take.
He ruined everything.
I know.
Except for he gave me this nice shot.
Yeah. Well, I figure if he's gonna
I
ruin
like
all
the
the
dunes.
shorebirds.
I do. I like the dunes
Yeah.
and the clouds and the colors. It's a
Yeah.
good one.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a
just
few
so
birds there,
many.
guys.
Yeah, there was definitely
Yeah.
like the royal terns.
And I think
You
yeah,
could
it was
see 'em
down in there. You can see some
up
royals.
in there. Yeah.
Yep.
I think mostly.
It was laughing gull dominated.
Yeah.
For sure.
Laughing gulls and terns. Yeah.
This is where it starts to get into like I don't feel like it's like quite snapshot anymore. Like this feels like a little bit more thought
Oh,
went into
yeah.
the composition. It's
Yeah.
also getting into 100 millimeter, so it's more telephoto. But
Oh, I love that. That's very dreamy.
yeah, yeah, I really had fun with these. I kept struggling. Like, do I go
Higher or lower?
up like this or go lower? But then this one I really liked.
yeah.
I loved like the way it laid out and everything like that.
Yeah. There he is.
There we go. Yeah.
Having fun.
This is just showing the scenery, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, a perfect example. This actually could have been taken on that other camera at 28.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
There's us.
Just by ourselves, loving
by
the beach.
ourselves on the beach is crazy.
My hair getting blown to smithereens.
Yeah.
Yeah. The sad part about it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we were, was this towards the end?
Yeah, it was when we were walking off.
We were leaving the beach and we weren't even hardly trying.
No.
Just towards our last couple of steps, like leaving the beach, and we both had like a handful of trash. And then just
to drop in the trash cans that were staged along the beach's edge
like,
every 500 feet.
Yeah, yeah. So it was just like really sad, and to think that every day there's just so much of that, and then the fact of like, I don't know, beneath the sand layers, there's probably just so much trash.
And how much gets washed out into the water every single day.
So much gets into the ocean. Yeah, just
it is sad, and it's like, to me, it was like really weird to think that, you know, you got all these people coming from the city. They're just trying to escape, get a little bit of nature, enjoy the beach, and then like that happens. And I get that sometimes accidental stuff falls, but you know, so much of it is just like carelessness, and just like whatever. Like, you know? We did see one guy right before they were leaving, like chasing a bag down the beach. Yeah. This guy was running around. He finally had to give up. It was really windy, as we showed earlier. And it just outran him. He couldn't get to it, but it was hilarious.
And then you think about that, like how much that happens too.
That's what I'm saying. Some of it is accidental, right? But yeah, enough of it I'm sure isn't.
Was this the next morning?
I think this was all the next morning, yeah. Because I think the cup was the last shot on the way out. And so a bit more challenging in the morning, I think, just with the light direction and the birds. And I don't remember it being quite as birdy
where we were. Right. Yeah.
Until we got all the way to the end.
Till we found the colony of laughing gulls.
And we played with in-camera.
Multiple exposure.
Which was a first for you.
First time.
Yep.
Oh, that's a pretty shot just on its own.
I thought so. That's why I kept it.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, I really like that.
Yeah. And again, the 28-4.
So 105 millimeter.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I really like that.
And 1/10 of a second, just a long swoop.
Yeah, I really like that.
Thank you.
I feel like I usually do 1/10 of a second.
Yeah. Yep.
So is that that's my funky one?
This one's mine.
Oh, that's yours.
Yeah,
okay.
this is 28-4. So this was the in-camera multiple exposure. So we've learned a little bit about it.
Yeah.
And we know, like, we shot the original exposure silhouetted like this, but it needs to be like a white background basically. And then I think it will
blend better.
Cut the bird out entirely and not do this weird stuff down here.
Crazy colors.
Yeah. But this was a combination of that exposure and that exposure, basically.
And
Well, I guess not, because this is not the open bill
No.
one, but one similar.
Yeah.
And it created that. Oh, there's the open bill one.
Okay.
I did try that.
Yeah.
But you had the idea. This was all your idea.
And look at what beautiful results.
We're getting there. Yeah, but conceptually, I think it's great to do the panned blur of the ocean.
Conceptually, I think it could be really cool.
And then blend it in. Yeah, there's another one I did.
Yeah.
What I was going to say, I thought this one, remember I photoshopped one just to see what it looked like? I thought this was it, but no, it's still funky there. So there's one you did.
That was mine.
Oh, that one came out cool.
I think I edited the colors quite a bit to try and make them less funky.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. This one's cool though.
Thank you.
Yeah. I never got to see this one yet. This is the first time seeing it. Yeah, that's awesome.
Thanks.
I think it totally works. Just shot it to keep it, you know, but this is a perfect example of like when you're shooting into rough ocean like that.
It doesn't look great.
It's horrible. No, there's nothing you can do, right? Like the lighting is amazing.
Yeah.
It's beautiful light. It's a great bird. I'm plenty close enough to him, but give me that background and it's just atrocious.
Okay, I don't know about atrocious.
I don't like it at all. But I needed to shoot down the beach and they just weren't cooperative enough to let us do that. So.
Yeah. That's a nice one.
Thank you. I was trying that for sure.
Yep.
I had to crop in a good bit, but I definitely was trying to get the gulls flying by the crashing wave. There's the gull and turn craziness.
Yes.
And they would just lift up on their own.
Oh,
like, this wasn't us getting anywhere near them.
Oh, is this a little video?
Yeah, so let's check this out. Yeah, this is a good one just to see. Like, oh, this was that pelican flock out there as well. I forgot they were out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, just look, there's so many birds.
Look at the little terns going by. Deep, deep, deep. Yeah, those were all the mostly terns there.
Yeah, and so the other part of that is when you have a flock like that much, we both are kind of like
what do you do in a flock?
Yeah, we kind of steer away from that.
Yeah, because this is what you get.
Yep, there you go. Yeah, I was grabbing it just because I never get to see
the pelicans and breeding.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So I was anxious to see that.
And then
Go ahead.
We saw some beautiful purple flowers in with these laughing gulls. So then we shot that.
Yeah. There was a whole roped off area for the laughing gull colony.
Yeah.
They nest all up in the dunes, and we had no idea, but we were just walking along the edge of
And I
that.
was like, oh, look, purple flowers.
Yeah, and then we started seeing these guys in there.
So I guess, yeah, I took out the 400 again.
Light was a little tough, but
yeah, by that point it was probably,
yeah.
I don't
You
know,
what? Here, I'll turn
hour
some
or two.
sound on for this so you can get
Oh, boy.
get a sense of what it's like around there. So we'll be quiet for a minute here. Hey,
totally.
but yeah, really
Do
neat.
you have any videos of the terns?
What do you mean?
Not the terns, the gulls doing anything cute?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then we got this one as well. I'll leave this sound. Well, we'll try some sound on this because it's fun. It's just, you kind of have to hear it. That's a big part of the experience, you know?
Oh, it's slow-mo.
So we'll kill the sound. So, I don't know, was it an eagle that kicked him up this time?
I think so.
Something. We were
Yeah,
standing there.
yeah.
We weren't really even moving. We were just
Yeah.
standing there. All of a sudden, the whole colony
flock
lifts up and got silent
Yeah.
for a
It
second.
was weird. Yeah.
Because it's just constant noise.
like, yeah, very loud. And then it just like,
And then all you hear is like the
silence.
wings.
Yeah,
just
the
like
wings.
the fluttering of the wings.
and then they come back and then it's just like the
Deafening.
same noise. Yeah. Crazy.
Deafening again, yeah. So yeah, it was just like that whole colony coming back down and interacting and stuff was really, really fun. But yeah, it was really neat to see. We got to see some courtship of them.
Like that.
Yeah, the light was strong,
Yeah.
but we were shooting straight front lit and trying to make the best of it. Had we known that was
We
down
would
there,
have gone there first thing.
going right down and try to
Yeah,
shoot
and
it
then
at
the
first light.
sunrise.
Yeah, the golden light would have been
We
coming right
even
in
thought about staying for one more night and doing an evening and a morning with them,
on them. Yeah,
but we didn't.
yeah, it would have meant staying at that park another day, and it was a
busy.
bit much.
It was busy.
It was a bit much, and I think it had been a lot of shooting. We had been
Yeah.
doing a lot of shooting, a lot of like driving, just
and my
place to
ankle's
place.
been messed up for a long time, and so
I think
trying to give it a break.
We finally just kind of
Yeah.
reached our end and our limit there, but
yeah, here's another example, right? Like the 400 at
yeah, I mean these were basically the same.
very
yeah.
similar moment.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say yours is better, you know.
Well, I
like,
just
you
edited
have
it darker.
Well, maybe you were with a different group because it's not as muddy, but maybe you were just higher up. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I'm taller. Yeah, seriously. And I cropped that stuff out.
Yeah.
But it's the same exact spot. You can see the same plant and shadow
Yeah.
on there. It's the same, basically the same-ish moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can see like my height actually allowed me to see some of the dune back there and everything.
Yeah.
Like from your perspective,
Yeah.
that you couldn't even see that dune.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
know, because it was funny at first. I was like, oh, look, there's a few purple flowers. And then you're like, there's a ton of purple flowers. I was like, I only see a few. And
I
it
mean,
was
look at
because,
this. You're seeing just a little bit there.
Yeah.
Look how many I'm seeing back there.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't remember if this is one. I feel like
That's kind of an interesting thing. I wonder how many things you see that I don't see.
yeah. I can't remember either if this was it, but I feel like there was one time when I was trying and I even lifted up and just used a flip screen to get like a higher shooting down into
Yeah,
their
maybe.
perspective. So that may have been part of it as well. But yeah, even with the eye ring on these
They're
guys
so pretty.
is
and their little
so
lipstick.
stunning. Yeah. And the white eyeliners too, the top
Yeah.
and bottom
They're
eyebrows.
so made up.
They really are stunning birds. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't really like this shot.
Yeah, I think all this was just more to show
Yeah.
like what it was. Like the lighting was very
But
challenging.
that's okay. I
Yeah,
like that one
yeah.
better.
I like this one.
Okay.
Yellow flowers there. It was wide enough. I feel
Yeah.
like the light was just muted enough there. And then the little clouds kicking in kind of did it for me. You know? Yeah, I know. And then all rough
He's
when
all,
they're not
like,
in full breeding plumage. He's
white.
all like spotty on the
Yeah.
face. Yeah.
So when they're not in breeding, is their face just white?
It's like a gray.
Okay.
Yeah, they lose there's no line there at all. That goes completely away. There's like a spotted grayish black on the
Okay.
top of the head. I mean, I could probably find it like real easily for you, just to show you, but let's finish up. I guess this is the end. Just, yeah, the flock flying around.
Yeah. Oh, and then we saw a couple of oyster catchers doing their
Courtship. There was like 3 or
courtship
4 of them.
dance.
Yeah. Can you grab that power back? I think it just like got yanked off
Oh,
here.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. yeah, that was really neat to see.
Yeah.
The courtship dance like that. Let's see if I can find you a nice non-breeding laughing gull. There you go. That's one right there.
Oh, okay.
That's what they look like. So there's always that little bit of black like hanging in back there.
Yeah.
But they just look kind of, and then like a little
Little
red
bit
on the
of red,
tip.
yeah.
But the
I mean, they're just so stunning. Oh, that's pretty though. Hilton Head?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, could have been, or it could have been here at Jekyll
Oh.
when we were shooting on the beach. In fact, I think it was.
January 1st. No, I think we were in Hilton Head.
Okay, yeah. But compare it to like,
But now.
yeah, this is one I shot back in Jersey. I mean, they're a stunning bird.
Yeah.
So anyway, what a time we had. It was like such a cool surprise
Yes.
stop.
And I think would you go back there to shoot?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would definitely go back
And
there.
then imagine they're like being able to see some of the actual nesting birds and their chicks and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
But of course, you're always working during that time.
Yep, that's the challenge. That definitely is the challenge. I'm usually like working other places during that, season. So it's hard to get to these places to see this kind of stuff.
So if you're
And that's why-
interested in shooting, laughing gull colony,
That's the place to go.
or maybe that'll be a workshop in the future.
Let me know if you want to do a workshop for laughing gulls. Yeah, I mean, especially when they had chicks, that would be really
It
dope.
would be so cute.
They're so cute. If you've
Yeah.
not seen them, look them up. Yeah,
Yeah.
they really are. So yeah, we've been shooting here a little bit. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Not what we expected or hoped with the shorebirds, but we've been.
Mostly warblers
Yeah.
and a little bit of beach stuff mixed in.
Yep. Yeah, we did some shorebird stuff.
Yeah, we did.
Not nothing,
I think we did
but
2 outings. Yeah, we did 2 outings.
yeah, I think we're gonna do one more tomorrow morning and then we head out. Mm-hmm. And we got this evening as well, so we might do shorebirds for both of those. And then that'll be that, and then back to Hilton Head for a couple days, and then off to Hawaii.
Yeah.
We go. So we'll try. I don't know if we're gonna have time to
We should
sneak
be
in
able to
another
sneak in a
episode.
video about Jekyll.
Yeah,
Yeah.
about here. So we'll see if we can sneak one of those in and get an episode ready for you guys while we're in Hawaii.
Yes.
But other than that, there might be a little bit of breaks coming up because we got Hawaii, and then there's going to be a big break when I go to Alaska because I'll be there for like almost a month.
Right.
So it's going to be really hard for us to record anything.
Right.
Then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's going to be just a little bit of breaks coming up, but we're going to try our best to keep these coming out. We've been getting great responses and feedback, so thank you so much.
Thanks for watching
yeah.
and following along.
We'll see you next time.